people Thursday, we still didn't have phone.
8 people, okay, I said 6. so.
Thought that'd actually be more, to be honest with you.
Well,
Okay. Ron,
okay, folks, if we can get started here. Thank you all for coming. Hopefully, you all know it's a public hearing to discuss the potential closure of parts of 2 roads. We have Jesse here, who is intimately familiar with each road. I just tried to drive down one of them today, and it was almost impossible. So what I'd like to do, I think, is we'll just, people raise their hand, say what they'd like to say, and we'll just make sure we get everyone's comments and feelings. Why don't we start over here? Harvey? No, okay.
Well, I'm just curious about where the motive, I assume the motive is to save money in the wintertime.
ultimately, yes. We won't save it on the current contract because current contract is the way it is. However, we will save on road maintenance because the roads won't be torn up in the spring as they usually are. So whatever it takes to repair those will be saved. And then in future plow contracts,
Yeah,
we may or may not save because is it easier to plow through
well, that's,
or easier to plow to a point and then turn around and go back?
well, I drove down Keyser Mountain Road preparing for today. And between house number 448 and the South River, that's barely passable.
Right, and that's because of our recent storms. Yeah,
It was, we thought about this last summer,
Yeah,
and in preparation, we actually, it was last fall.
Yeah.
I think, in preparation for the plow contracts, we wanted to have this done before the plow contracts, but there was some statute that we had to go through this at town meeting.
yeah.
And so we had to wait until this year, which was after the plow contracts. We were hoping to do it before the plow contracts as a money saver, but
Well, it's gonna be very
That's part of
expensive just to repair.
it is, and I won't say it's been put on the back burner, but there's much more important and used roads that the storms this year, other roads got first choice, to repairs. And that's the last one that'll,
That fellow that ran a business in Taylor City that objected the last time, is he here?
No. The carriage house.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was the carriage house restaurant over at Province Lake Golf Course.
yes.
I'm done.
Okay. Good.
So we had a town meeting last December 6th, and we discussed Hasty Road quite a bit and voted that we did not want it closed.
When was this?
No, we did not. There was some discussion, but I believe it wasn't even due with that meeting. It got somehow it got brought up and amongst other things, and there was a discussion on it, and we talked and said, this isn't even to be discussed right now, but there was quite a discussion on it, regardless of
Article
that.
6 in the warrant that we were voting on about closing Hasty and maybe Kaiser Falls, but Hasty I remember because
Six on both.
had quite a discussion about that road and how long it took emergency vehicles to get from anywhere to Province Lake.
Yeah, but we never.
emergency
We never-
vehicles won't even go over that road.
We did discuss it, but like I said,
It wasn't voted
it
on.
wasn't that I don't recall having any sort of vote, and I believe it wasn't even a discussion at that meeting. It just got brought up and got talked about. I believe, because I think David or somebody spoke and said we need to end this discussion because it was for another meeting, to my recollection. But again, my memories.
On the website, because there's information about how we voted.
Okay, will do.
Seats.
You folks, well, Cliff, you walk right in and you're the next person in line.
Perfect. What am I in line for?
Why are you here?
Expressing your opinion if you have any on this.
Oh, okay. There's a few businesses that are easily accessible from this particular area as opposed to going all the way around practically to Newfield and then through. I understand that it's quite a section of road. And here's another thought. Does the logging company use that road if we keep it open in the wintertime?
Some years they do, some years they don't.
Well, maybe we should talk to them about this. Maybe they can help pay for the plowing of it.
They actually just plow it themselves. They've done it in the past because
So
of,
they would just come in and plow it out wherever they're logging.
yep. They would just plow what they needed. The beginning of the contract, the last time we renewed, so 3 years ago, there was a struggle and they just started plowing it themselves because they go to work at 4:35 in the morning and it wasn't plowed, so they just did it themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
So that isn't an issue. And I would have to say 10 years is a little too much. And there are businesses in that area. It's a tough call, but 10 years out to close it down is tough.
It can be changed at any time though with a vote. I mean, this isn't etched in stone.
Special town meeting.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Whole nine
Yeah.
yards.
Yeah, the 10 years is the limit that it can be.
Correct. It has
And
to
then
be,
it has to go up for a vote.
Right.
But if the town came back in 2 years, they could turn it around. I don't think this is such a big deal.
Yep.
I really think that road, emergency vehicles aren't gonna use it.
No.
Anybody that uses that in the wintertime, especially in some of the rough winters we've had, I think they're just asking for trouble. And of course, the repair that might have to be done in the springtime. If it wasn't, there's very little repair, but if there is, I'm sure they go up there a few times and comb it and sometimes have to bring a grade all to really fix it. There's no power lines there, there's no houses, there's only houses on Middle Road and the very beginning of, which I guess you call Hasty Road, but
So, you folks, do you have,
One other question.
wait, question?
Is it all owned by the private Levitt easement?
well, Hasty,
Entire Hasty.
the section is on Hasty is, yes. The section
Beginning to the end of Hasty.
from what is proposed being, there's,
I know there's homes on the.
correct, there may be one private owner on not a house, but a private section of property on like Lawn Knox Road, the end of that, and maybe one more lot closer to Danielle's parents on the opposite side of the road that's private that would not get plowed. There's probably a 300-yard section of maybe private property, but there's no houses. Obviously, we plow the houses. And Teaser Mountain Road is all private,
So
mostly one
my
landowner.
question in that one piece of property that is private, if people decided to build a house there, could we put this into this if we decided to close the road, that the town would take over that section when they built there? I mean,
Would reopen that section.
reopen at least that,
Yeah.
that somebody built there. Because we're trying to encourage people to move to the town, not in vast numbers, but as we know, there's always housing.
You folks,
Yeah, we live on Keezer Mountain Road,
okay?
and we're at the end that, right before it starts going down the hill and it starts getting worse. We went down there the other night, and in my husband's truck, which is a four-wheel drive, and there's one area that we bottomed out. The road's really bad.
Yeah.
Do you plan on?
We all visited Teaser Mountain Road in the last few days.
Yes, so it got fixed after the first washout we had this spring. It didn't get fixed, but it was made passable by all vehicles. And then, was it like 2 or 3 weeks after, we had another huge washout, maybe even a month after. It was during those huge rainstorms and it's got put on the back burner. Obviously, if this gets voted down, we have no choice but to fix it up plenty well enough so plow trucks can get all the way through because they need to plow it.
Well, it didn't affect us last year in the winter, okay, because we don't go that
Right.
end. But the concern was that you can do it for 10 years and a lot can change in 10 years. So
Right.
that's why we came.
Right.
To see what was going to be said and if it was up for voting or what.
Yeah, this will be a vote at the town meeting, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So this is just a discussion, people to hear other people's thoughts and feelings on it.
Jen?
My concern about emergency vehicles on Hasty Road's been answered.
Maren?
Well, I'm just curious. That's
No, I was getting the lady behind you there.
bad, never mind.
I've been for this for a while.
You what?
I've been for this for a while.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I think it makes sense to close it down in the winter, so I was just curious what other people felt.
Don?
My concern would be, when you say a road is closed, the road right now should be closed. And it's not, okay? It's open. It's a danger. And somebody come down there 60 miles an hour like they usually do, doesn't know it, okay? That's the end of them. But what are you gonna do to close the road? It needs a permanent barrier. If you're gonna close the road, it needs a permanent barrier. You can't put a stick in the ground and someone comes by and throws it in the woods and goes around.
And we've been using the cement,
All last
we've been using the cement barriers. Unfortunately, people with pickup trucks and chains like to move them and keep going, but
They have to be set right.
No, and I agree, Don, to save us money on the spring maintenance, you really have to, because, the younger crowd is gonna go down, that's their favorite time to go down is when it's muddy, and they're gonna go around any kind of makeshift barrier you have unless it's permanent, you know what I mean? A permanent, I don't know how far you'd go as a gate or a chain's a little dangerous. But yes, something needs to be permanent to actually save the town money on maintenance, because the kids will go down when it's muddy and rut it up regardless. You know what I mean?
The main concern is, like, if it's closed properly.
Right.
Okay, all you're gonna have in the wintertime are snow machines.
Right,
Okay, that's cool, it doesn't bother me.
right.
Okay, but to see the way the road is and to see the amount of traffic that uses it, okay, is, to even think of 10 years is crazy. I mean, no way. I mean, it's, like talking to Ed beforehand, and right now there are 5 houses under construction at the beginning of Keezer Mountain Road as you come in. Okay, 5 that are, and one is for sale for $499,000. That was advertised in the newspaper. So you've got $2 million or more in houses being built down there. They're not cheap things, they're expensive. So I can't see closing a road for 10 years and excluding people.
well, this doesn't have to be for 10
This
years.
is only winter maintenance, Don.
Oh, okay, well, still, it's, the road should be open. What are you going back to the 1800s? You know, heck with it, it's a dirt road, it's gonna stay that way. That's fine with me, as long as it's maintained.
And I think the reason it's not it's not maintained as in Pendexter Road or Devereux Road. It hasn't been for the last few years, and I think the times have changed. The road budget hadn't changed for a fair amount of years, and the money runs shorter, and there's no houses on that section. That's not as of now, it's not a necessary road for anybody to use, you know.
I shop in New Hampshire a lot.
Well,
That's, you gotta go all the way around.
I can-
People mentioned Hasty Road, you gotta go around and around and around. Well, that's what happens to me in the wintertime.
right. Well, No, this is a concern. No, this is a concern, and this is why we have a meeting, and this is why we have a vote on it, you know?
When they put gravel on the road, they put crushed stone, which is a half an inch or bigger, and sand. So when we had the big storm, it completely washed down off the hill, down Keezer Mountain Road, right onto my property, and filled in a 300-year-old well. The original well for the True Worthies was on my property. It's filled right to the top with rocks and sand.
I don't think they put any sand on the road, Don. We get all the bills and it's
Oh,
all,
it's not just plain gravel, they
it's
throw
crushed.
sand in with it.
it's crushed gravel. I mean, that's what you buy at the gravel pit is crushed gravel. And the fines, yes, the fines run down the road. I mean, that go down to the foot of the big hill at the bottom and look at it appears to be sand, and all that is the fines that come out of the gravel. It's not, yeah, it is sand, but that's a mix of gravel. You can't just get crushed stone, you know, because you can't maintain crushed stone. Well, so,
Plowed off every year.
right, well,
Got plowed the last time they did it last year, and the first time again this year.
yeah.
The day after, well, a couple of days after they fixed the road, it snowed.
Right.
Plowed it. All the gravel, all the sand, right into the ditch.
So on Mountain Road, Don, you said there's 4 homes being put up near the beginning. So I take it that you live,
Besides the one that are existing.
okay, and I take it that you live the furthest down Mountain Road?
Just-
You live the furthest down?
No, he lives down further than us.
Okay, yeah, he lives down.
And
Yeah.
Okay,
Kelly Day lives next to me. He's the last one.
okay.
Okay.
So what portion of that road do we have, let's say, we have development on? Is that half a mile?
It's on the tarred section, the very first, and it might strike there's been a subdivision that's been idle there for
Long time.
10 or 15 years, and with COVID, everything sold and he sold all his lots. So he'd sold 1 out of 6 lots in 15 or 18 years maybe, and then COVID, and he sold the rest of them. And so there is 1, 2, 3, 4 lots being
How far in from Elm Street?
500 yards, 400 or 500 yards.
So how far in are you from Elm Street?
Well, the house is being built. It's not on Keezer Mountain Road. It's on the corner of Elm Street.
Okay.
And Keezer Mountain.
Yeah, so how far are you in on Keezer Mountain Road? How far do you have to go in on Keezer Mountain? before
About a
you-
half a mile,
half a
3/4
mile?
of a
And
mile.
is somebody further beyond you?
No.
Yes, there's one house. He has a neighbor.
And how far, can you see his house from your house?
No,
So maybe half.
We're talking about a mile and a half here on Keezer Mountain Road,
Right, so,
really between the bridge and the last house.
okay, so that section between the bridge and your house.
Yeah.
And I don't see it as a, real difficulty for people to come to Keezer Falls to go to New Hampshire.
Well,
Not if they're a mile or 3/4 of a mile in.
and on Hasty Road, you're looking at 2 miles approximately.
That's a different story. There's no real major development after,
Yeah.
except maybe then.
Jeff, you want to?
I can wait until the end.
And
No.
actually,
You're up.
hold on, this is 2 separate articles, correct?
No, it's one article.
one article.
I thought it was gonna be separate.
I thought it had to be separate when we spoke about it. Really? No, I'm
Not
pretty
that I'm
sure.
aware of.
We spoke that it should have been separate because
We can make it separate.
yeah, I think
make them separate.
we should make it separate. Being as
Yep.
Hasty Road is non-developable land and Keezer Mountain Road is privately owned, so it should, I just feel like it should be separate. I mean,
Yep.
I was under the understanding that it was separate. I thought
I missed that, but that's a good point.
you might not have been, there might have been, I don't know, David, it might have been the
Yeah.
week you weren't there. I can't recall.
I think under the present conditions of Keezer Mountain Road, I think the town should keep open if people are living there in the winter, they should keep that section of road open where their homes develop. The other other mile and a half could be closed.
Right, well, that's what we're proposing.
Jeff, did you?
Yeah, am I gonna be last?
No,
No, you're going to be next.
Okay,
If you want to be last, you have to come sit over here.
I didn't know that.
on Rick's lap.
All right, I'm hearing a lot of things, and
I was never a big fan of having Hasty Road open. It made a better snowmobile trail at the time, and it probably still does, makes a better snowmobile trail. But, and we're gonna focus though. We pay to have that road plowed in a contract. And then in the springtime, we shut it down, and then it snows 3 more times. So we've been wasting money for like 10 years by having that road plowed for 3/4 of the season and not at the very end. And I get why we don't do it, is because it's mud season and the trucks are gonna destroy it. And as well as, but we also, if we just close it, then nobody will go down that road and run it up in the winter either, everybody respects a snowmobile trail, and that's probably a good thing to do, is have it as a snowmobile trail. This way here, pickup trucks won't be on it in the springtime, running it up because it's a snowmobile trail. But we need to save money, everybody wants to save money, and everybody wants to spend money. So people are gonna have to decide, are we gonna spend money or are we gonna save money? Because we gotta sort of do both, but we can't keep spending just because everybody wants to spend money, so
Can I
definitely.
make a comment on your point?
No, you can't, not right now. You
Okay.
had your chance. Let's get around the room
And
first and then.
as far as businesses go, if I'm gonna go to Providence Lake per se, whether I go swimming or go to a bar down there and sing karaoke, I go, they call it the long way, but it really isn't, Chase Road to New Settlement Road to 153. That's the way I go. I've heard that somebody went down Hasty Road in the wintertime because they saw it was plowed, and then it wasn't, and they went down a hill and then crashed their car. Probably because there wasn't any, they didn't plow it or something, but they ended up getting into a car accident down there. And you've said yourself, David, that people have been stranded down that road overnight. And rescue doesn't use it. It's hasty-wasty, hate to say it, but it is. And we need to close it. And Keys Mountain Road is a good idea too, because we need to save money. I go on the internet and I look at all these other towns and stuff, and everybody's complaining about high taxes. Why is there high taxes? Because everybody wants everything. They want this, they want that, this one's got that, I want this. We have to make cuts. We have to start making cuts. And this is the simplest way. If somebody's got to drive a little ways out of the way, they are heroes because they're saving us money. And, and I do most of my shopping in Maine because I'm trying to support Maine. Anyways, I could probably go on for a longer time, but I use
That's okay.
my time to, and if I have and Cliff, I'm sorry for cutting you off, but I'm just,
Oh, that's all right, yeah.
when I have the floor, I'd like to.
You cutting me off, I never feel.
Danielle, you?
I'm just listening to the discussion, but I did hear something. The 10 years, that order, do we know for sure if that gets passed that we can change that 10 years?
Yes,
Yes,
You can.
yes.
Does it take a town meeting or something?
yes, it takes another vote of the town.
Or a special time. It could be,
It's a town meeting, and that can be regular or special, just a town meeting.
Okay, so if there was a concern where people wanted to change the 10 years, that could be done.
yep.
Okay,
I believe the 10 years to set a limit so that it has to be revisited in 10 years, no matter what,
What happens?
no matter what happens. Even if nobody says boo about it, it has to be revisited in 10 years, I believe.
right, because there's an order that you sign, okay, I was just making sure that
That's how I understand
couldn't
it.
change for sure whenever people vote.
Yep.
Okay.
Can I say one more thing? Only because it has to do with roads.
I hope so.
And 153 is called Providence, is it called Providence Lake Road?
Province,
Providence.
No D there.
Providence Lake. We're gonna be responsible for the maintenance of that road for.
No,
Yes.
Yes.
1
2 miles,
point.
1.8 miles or something, yeah.
Okay, so this is a good time to, make a cut and
okay,
a little.
good.
One final point Jeff did mention.
Wait.
Oh, I know.
You folks?
My concern was the 10-year closure.
Okay.
Well, and if we could reopen it, fine.
Yeah,
You're complete right there?
As I spoke, I just wanted to ask one question. On Hasty Road, is that part of the Lever Plantation area there? All the way down from where the
All the way
private homes?
all the way from Middle Road to Danielle's folks' property about on Knox.
No houses are gonna be built there, no power lines ever go through.
No.
Okay, well, I think that's another reason right there, so.
Your answer.
Hasty Road, I've used it over the winter for several years. I find it convenient, but I agree with Jeff. I think we need to keep the taxes low and there's several workarounds, so I don't really see an objection. Keyser Mountain Road, I'm not really too familiar with. I don't use it much. But I think Jeff made a good point. It's worth it to save some money for the town.
Okay. Now
So Jeff's point, which was kind of pushed through quickly, makes a lot of sense. This was probably the first winter we had where the roads didn't freeze up very long, the whole winter. Now, if this becomes a regular routine, this is all the more reason not to be plowing Hasty Road in the wintertime. Because it could be destroyed in the plowing. It doesn't make sense. And it's hard enough right now for the roads that we do have to make sure our plow people understand that the blade can't be set on a road that's not frozen. And unfortunately, this winter in the north end, that wasn't the case. The blades were set on the road, and I've lived here 50 years. And what happened to my road this winter was destroyed the whole base of the road. So I would agree with closing any roads or even sections of roads because the climate is changing to such that we may begin to get regular winters where the gravel roads do not freeze. Which is kind of a scary thought, but that's what's coming.
You want to be last again? Go ahead, Jeff.
Chris brought up a good point. And of course, when you use salt on a dirt road, that actually thaws out the road. And
We've tried to,
I know.
and I know on the north side, you were talking about the south side, Cliff. You're on the south side, not the north side. The north side contractor was well aware and, they used, but it was very convenient for them to get straight sand out of mills. But I can't speak for the south side or Cliff side because I don't know. But it's not as convenient for them to get a load of straight sand over there because there's not a gravel pit open over there. You know what I mean? They would have to come all the way from Mills's. So I don't know whether they did or they didn't, but.
I just bring up the point that when he brings up the climate change, it's also because they use salt on dirt roads and that thaws out the road.
Correct.
And that's why the road gets torn up.
Didn't he really? I thought nobody used salt on dirt roads.
Well, you shouldn't, and they wouldn't on purpose, I don't think, because it's not handy for them. I've plowed and it's not fun to plow a thawed road, or driveway or anything, so.
Well, I would think if a dirt road was so icy that they needed to do something and people lived down there, then they would throw
It is.
whatever material.
It's a judgment call.
It is, and it's very tough because I've seen a winter a few years ago, I can't remember exactly how long ago, they just kept sanding and sanding and sanding, and it just kept freezing and freezing and freezing. And so by the end of the winter, when the ice started to break up on the road, they had
We
potholes
have
of ice.
just one conversation, please, folks. Please, thank you.
There was just one more thing I wanted to, this Keyser Mountain Road, the property that you don't want to plow anymore, is that private property, a private road?
It's not a private road, but it's private property, yeah.
Right, okay. So, and is that part of the plantation
No.
too, or is that owned by?
No.
Is it owned by Dwight Mill?
Yes, and when I first became selectman, they were logging down there themselves, and I spoke to them about it, and I said, well, you guys pay, because it wasn't closed. It wasn't a closed road in the wintertime, but it wasn't getting plowed. I said, you guys pay your taxes, and they didn't have any concern. They were plowing it what they needed themselves. And last winter they did the same thing. They plowed, they even fixed the road enough so that the trucks could get in and out when they needed, so.
So we're talking the area between South River and 448.
Yeah, it's actually, you mean on Keezer Mountain Road? It's actually, not South River, it's Great Brook, but yes. South River is on the other side of town on Middle Road.
Yeah.
Yep.
I paddled something from Middle Road all the way down to Ossipee.
Yeah, that's South River.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Thank you very much for coming. I appreciate it. A lot of people here, a lot of good comments. Someone picked up the splitting up of the two roads, would be two separate warrants. And people can pick one, the other, or both, or none.
So I had a question. If you close the roads, we've had some inspections done and Google Maps sends them from the bridge up through. And the road's very dangerous. So
Somebody's gonna make a delivery and they drive up that road, they
Well,
probably don't want
they're
them
gonna
working
be
on our house.
Take you in off of 160.
With that, so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
They'll be coming in from Elm Street too, so there won't be a problem. You'll be all right.
Well, her thought, I believe, is that would somehow something get notified so they didn't send people that way.
they're gonna send people back.
I would say
If you close the road.
in New Hampshire, I'm not
They would let them know.
I'm not familiar with it in Maine, but we should look into this, but in New Hampshire, they have class 4 or 6 roads or whatever that there's a steel sign not maintained for winter travel. They don't shut them down, but they don't maintain them. So, but nobody uses them because there's 2 feet of snow. So I don't know if, I assume by doing that, somehow New Hampshire, somebody is alerted somewhere that that's a class 6 road or whatever it's classified as, that it's not a winter road, you know what I mean? So I guess
I'll
we.
look into notifying,
I don't know if it'd be a state or what it would be.
yeah.
Oh, they gotta put up signs?
We would put up signs,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
Okay?
All right, thank you, folks.
In the 90s, I skied all the way down the road. And all the way down. I skied back. Because they-
Just that-